Straight ahead on Channel 3 News Nightcast, damaging winds whip through central New York and crews are still at work cleaning up the mess. Syracuse police are on the hunt for a man who may have witnessed yesterday's bizarre stabbing death. And George Shultz's mission of peace is still stalled in the Middle East. I'm Jackie Robinson. Those stories and more next on Nightcast.
The IRA Regatta, and Channel 3's Steve Schnall was live at noon.
Every year that I cover this darn thing, the biggest problem is how to interview Bill Sanford. The guy is 6'7", and every year he is, you know, twice the size of me. So this year we did things a little bit different, and you have shrunk, Bill, from past years.
It's nice looking up to you.
Yes, and this rock is about 2 feet tall.
Roger Springfield sitting on a rock live at 6 with Regatta results. That's why WSTM is the news station.
Of all the ideas cooked up to make life easier in the kitchen, there's one simple idea nobody has improved on. And now there's another. Reynolds Wrap and Reynolds Plastic Wrap. Make it right from the start.
What you start with makes a big difference in what you end up with. Start with Reynolds Wrap. Make it right from the start.
The news station, WSTM-TV. And now, Channel 3 News Nightcast with Jackie Robinson, Steve Schnall on sports, and meteorologist Sam Evans.
Good evening. More than 25 Niagara Mohawk crews are shooting for a midnight deadline to restore power to 2,000 customers. Winds gusting to roughly 40 miles an hour knocked down trees all over the Syracuse area this afternoon. Onondaga County Fire Control took between 50 to 60 calls for tree limbs and wires down.
Scott Holm Terrace near Sunnyside. Reported a tree on a wire. The tree is burning.
One Syracuse family escaped the limbs of this huge tree on Hickson Avenue. The family had planned a backyard cookout.
We were sitting in the dining room eating dinner. We were going to have a barbecue in the backyard, but it was too windy, so we decided to move the barbecue inside and sit at the table and eat. We were still barbecuing outside. Someone had just taken the shish kebabs off the fire, brought them inside. Next thing you heard is loud, huge crack. And they said, better go look at your car. My car's totaled. Mommy, the tree's gonna fall, the tree's gonna fall. I said, Jennifer, that's a great big old tree. The tree's not gonna fall. She was very insistent. We sat down at dinner, and next thing you know, the tree fell. And I said, don't ever tell me anything like that again.
The tree split in two. The second half landed in this yard moments after the family fled from their picnic table.
All of a sudden, a big, huge crash. We went and looked, and the tree fell in the backyard.
In the Meadowbrook area, the winds uprooted this tree from the ground. One neighbor cannot get his car out of his driveway. Another, who was home at the time, described what he heard.
It sounded like a traffic accident on the corner, and it just hit the wires and stretched the wire or whatever. You hear rubber stretching on the wires. That was it.
Police reported no injuries. There's no estimate on the damage caused by the high winds. A bizarre double stabbing on Syracuse's south side yesterday left one man dead and the murder suspect in the hospital. Today, the investigation has turned up new information that there may have been a witness to the stabbings. Channel 3's Jerry Barsha has that story.
Syracuse police want to talk to a man they believe was in James Lee's apartment when the double stabbing broke out. The fight claimed the life of 30-year-old James Jones. This is Jones. Lee told police that Jones came up to Lee's second-floor apartment asking for liquor. Lee refused. Jones then asked for 2 eggs. Lee said he only had 2 left. When Jones refused to leave the apartment, Lee picked up a knife and made jabbing motions at Jones. Then Lee stabbed Jones in the abdomen. During the fight, Jones got the knife and stabbed Lee, who's now recovering at a hospital. Investigators are checking James Lee's story.
At this point, it's consistent with what we know. Obviously, the investigation is still continuing to find out if, in fact, that's what happened.
Right now, the count against the suspect Lee is murder second degree. If his story holds up, down the road in the court system, that could be reduced to manslaughter. Meanwhile, the grand jury will take up the case and a speedy indictment's expected. Jerry Barsha, Channel 3 News.
Secretary of State George Shultz's peace mission appears to be stalled over the issue of the Israeli-occupied territories. Shultz made a brief visit to Jerusalem today to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir. Schultz is looking for support for his plan that would call on Israel to trade land for peace. The Israelis oppose the plan. Schultz is in Cairo tonight and plans to head to Syria tomorrow. The Secretary of State is calling the Israeli occupation of the West Bank and Gaza Strip a dead-end street. A somber mood today in Borken, West Germany, as family and friends gather to mourn the loss of 45 miners killed in a mine blast this past week. 6 miners were miraculously found alive yesterday, but it is unlikely other missing miners survived the blast and collapse. Charges have surfaced that the mine company has botched the rescue operation after admitting they told some trapped miners to stop signaling. That incident occurred just after the blast. Meanwhile, residents filled churches to mourn the dead and pray for the well-being of the survivors. The half-brother of Jesse Jackson has been arrested and charged with being an accessory to a felony. Jackson's half-brother is accused of hiring someone who slashed and stabbed a woman who witnessed the murder of a man who had worked for him. Campaigning in California today, Jesse Jackson says he knows nothing about the case. Meanwhile, Jackson's campaign chairman says he should be offered the chance to be Michael Dukakis' Democratic running mate. Campaigning officials say it should be up to Jackson whether or not he wishes to accept the offer. A Dukakis spokesperson says his boss isn't ruling anyone in or out and isn't thinking about who he might ask until after Tuesday's California